something like 70% of people have gone on to purchase a product that they've seen with Grubby for the first time um, somewhere else. So it's like a great way to show people how to showcase these ingredients in their best light. I think that's where the real value is for these companies, is they can supply us with products, and basically we're doing the job of educating the consumer how to use it, which they can't do in the supermarket. So that, there'll be people that will not buy those products when they go into supermarkets. They don't know what to do with them, whatever reason they won't buy them, but they will pick them up in a Grubby meal because they'll see a nice picture of a delicious looking curry that has got flavour in it, for example, and they'll try it with us and they'll enjoy it, and then they'll think, oh yeah, that was a good product, so I'd like to get that again. So there's definitely a barrier that we break down in sort of how to use things.
Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the New Food Hub podcast, where you can discover the future of food. In each episode, we'll be chatting with industry experts to provide you with actionable insights on the latest innovations and trends in the alternative protein space. Created to help retailers, multinational food brands, and traditional meat and dairy producers stay ahead in a rapidly evolving market with practical and honest advice. Previously, we've looked at the growth of plant-based, why we should improve product nutrition, and how to optimize plant-based retail. But today, we're going to focus on exactly how to make plant-based eating a lasting habit. Our guest, Martin Holden-White, is the founder and CEO of Grubby, a plant-based meal kit delivery service in the UK. Through their meal boxes, Grubby aims to make plant-based cooking effortless, flavour-loaded and accessible to all, which sounds pretty good to me. Starting out as a chef, aged 16, before pivoting into business, Martin has now taken Grubby from a fledgling to a successful business in just 5 years. So, how do you turn plant-based meals into a long-term habit? And what has Martin learned from helping thousands of people to cook more plant-based at home? Let's dive in. Hello, Martin. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me today.
Hey Gemma, nice to meet you, and thanks for having me on.
So, tell us a little bit more about your journey. You've built a business around, making plant-based eating easier.
Yeah.
What originally sparked your interest in this, and what personal or industry insights originally led to the creation of Grubby?
Yeah, I suppose, like, going way back, I was a chef part time when I was 16, working in a busy French kitchen, and sort of developed a love of food and hospitality from there. It was actually a school work experience, so I did a week's work experience in the kitchen. Just, I loved the buzz of it all, and kind of just got sucked into the food industry, which took various forms, but broadly it was like hospitality, hotels, restaurants, that kind of thing. Quite a bit of back of house to start with, and then a bit of front of house, and then it ended up in the food service industry. So I was fast forwarding sort of 25 years or whatever. I was in the food service industry as a sales guy for sort of office restaurants. So any sort of catering that was required in big corporate buildings, and saw an opportunity really for a product that people could take home as they left work. And I'd started eating a lot more plant-based at the time. Was trying to reduce my meat consumption, mainly from a health perspective, really, just trying to get more veg into my diet. And but I found it incredibly difficult, and just thought, this is really hard to make. Even as I sort of know my way around a kitchen, roughly speaking, and to actually make a plant-based dish taste good and be simple and not take ages, finding weird and wonderful ingredients that I had no idea about, like nutritional yeast, for example, at the time, was difficult. And I just thought, well, if it's difficult for me, then it's going to be difficult for a lot of other people. And then I sort of started digging into things a bit more detail and realized that, yeah, the majority of meals are still cooked at home, obviously in various different forms, but that there's a real, need for solving this problem of, well, if we're going to start eating more plants, then, you need to start in people's kitchens. And that now you can eat out very well when it comes to plant-based, and the restaurant scene and all that stuff has come on, massively long way. But the issue is that people aren't really cooking it that much at home still, and there's just a huge untapped opportunity in allowing that to happen. So that was where the concept sort of started from, and then yeah, grew into the recipe kit that we are now. But we basically started as an office delivery service, which was where the idea was formed in my previous role, and then that morphed because of COVID into a direct to consumer business. So yeah.
Wow, what an interesting way to, start a plant-based company. I've never heard of
Yeah,
yeah, how
yeah,
fascinating.
yeah,
Um, Amazing. Well, many consumers, try plant-based products, but don't always stick to them, for some of the reasons that you just mentioned. From your experience, what makes the difference between, a one-time experiment and a longer-term shift?
yeah. I think, for us, it's like we began being completely veg based, and just trying to use wholesome, natural ingredients in all of our dishes. And then, there became this demand for meat alternatives, and which now are probably taking up about 20% of the menu, maybe 25% some weeks. And it's grown over time because we've actually found there's been a real demand for that. Contrary to maybe the wider um, thing in the UK of plant-based meats. But yeah, I think for us, the whole thing of it being a home cooked product that can be really, really convenient, very, very simple, like packed full of all the nutritional stuff that you need in a meal. That's the big drivers. And we have customers that love to indulge in longer recipes, and whether it's be at weekends or whatever, and laboring over something for a bit longer. But most of our customers are just after something that is really quick, really convenient. Obviously, taste has just got to be at the center of it. Um, but yeah, that convenience is always going to be the winner, really. I think in making something become a habit, that they will actually do every day, or 3 or 4 days a week, say. So yeah, that's been a big focus for us.
Let's keep the lens then turned to consumer psychology.
Yeah.
Based on what you've seen at Grubby, what are the biggest, mental or practical barriers stopping people from eating more plant-based meals? Would you say it's convenience?
Yeah, I think it's basically the fear of just not knowing how to cook it. A lot of people grow up, well, the majority of people grow up, learning how to cook from their parents, and historically, well, I'm 33, but my parents had a very sort of traditional cooking methods of meat, carb, veg, tasty food, but like the sort of that's the way that flavor combinations were put together, using dairy, using meat. So it's not something that's like natural in people's kitchens to be cooking plant-based from scratch and learning how to do that. That's probably changing a bit, with future generations, of course. But I do think that is ultimately the barrier, in stopping people is is not knowing where to start, and not knowing what a lot of the tricks and hacks and quick ways of getting flavor into things, because they know how to get flavor into a piece of chicken, because that's what they were taught, but they don't know how to get flavor into an aubergine, for example, necessarily. Or so those are I think the main like barriers, and then that, like, yeah, they will go and order something in a restaurant that's plant-based, but like, because but it sounds good and it tastes good, and they're happy with that, it feels healthy, and they're a flexitarian, and they might be, that's not a new thing. There's obviously lots of people that sort of feel that same way, but we've always tried to take an approach of it being, it's taste first and convenience, and then yes, the fact that it's plant based is great. It's great for the environment, all the, health, animal welfare, all that good stuff. But it's not at the kind of center of what we're putting to the customer as a proposition. It's just like, it tastes good and it's quick. Get on board with it, kind of thing.
Taking this kind of more industry wide, then,
Yeah.
how can other brands making plant-based meat, for example, combat this perception and make plant-based eating, feel uncomplicated, feel unalien and normal
Mm,
and effortless?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's not something that we do. So I definitely don't want to be teaching these other brands how to do things. But I think the way that they're tackling it, of going after the products that are um, things that people associate with, so like the sausage or whatever, they'll know what they want to, how they want to cook that, and that it get, doing classic dishes like bangers and mash and gravy or whatever, like doing the I think they're all going after the sort of quick wins almost of, okay, we'll do the sausages, we'll do the chicken thighs that people will make a curry with, we'll do skewers that can go on your barbecue, and which makes total sense, right? It's like, using products that people already know, okay, this is what I do with that. It's just plant-based, and that's cool. I think from a how it's put to the customer, like I'd actually like to see, and maybe people have got different views on this, but I'd like to see like them being in, not necessarily just like plant-based fixtures that people walk past and they go, oh, that's the plant-based gluten-free section, no thanks. Like getting the products like in with other, or in and around, at least, other meat-based products. Because I think then people are going to be more inclined, or if it's like a summer barbecue range, it's like it sits within a fixture that has all the barbecue things in it. So yeah, that to me would make more logical sense from like the consumer mindset for sure.
Taking this further, then, we know that people can be, creatures of habit. What lessons have you learned at Grubby and beyond, about making plant-based meals an easy, almost automatic choice for consumers, like a frictionless experience?
Yeah, I mean, from a D2C perspective, people want choice. And obviously that it would be great if we were still operating how we were at the very start, and customers getting no choice at all. We basically gave customers what they got, and that was that, at the very beginning, because we didn't have enough of a recipe range. But then very quickly realized that, yeah, customers are obsessed with variety. They want new things all the time. Yeah, there's some people that resort to habits of something that they really like, and we try and keep like the real favorites on the menu as much as we can. But um, yeah, the upshot of how things have grown has been because we've offered more and more variety, and more and more choice as we've gone along. And also from a delivery days perspective, offering more delivery days. We started out with just one, 5 delivery days, making it as quick as we possibly can from a turnaround point of view, so it's convenient for people is really important. But that also has consequences, because when we offer quicker turnarounds on deliveries, that can cause wastage in the warehouse, because you're having to order things with less of an accurate forecast. So there's ramifications to making it really, really flexible. But ultimately, yeah, we try to be a subscription service that is not like you have to get this every week. We love having the monthly customers, the fortnightly customers, the people that order multiple times at a certain part of the year. All the customers are good. It's just their ordering patterns differ massively, so we try and make the whole experience, I suppose, as flexible as it possibly can be, so that it doesn't feel like it's oh, I'm locked into like a big contract with these guys, that they can just dip in and dip out, as they see fit, really.
Meal kits like yourself at Grubby, you have a built-in habit forming mechanism, which obviously makes building these habits so much easier for eating plant-based. Do
Mm.
you think that the broader alternative protein industry can learn anything from this model to encourage repeat engagement?
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, I love working with the meat alternative businesses. There's we have a lot of this product, for example, in our recipes as one example, and I think what sometimes we've actually struggled with engaging with some of these companies is how much of a big thing it is for people to use their products in recipe kits. Um, Fable is another example of like fantastic products. Like we use it in recipes, mushroom based, very very meaty texture. Goes in curries and all sorts of things. Amazing product. And but then more recently, they sort of said, "Oh, can we get some of your boxes for the suppliers and investors, and we want to show them how to use this product." And I think that's where the real value is for these companies, is they can supply us with product, and basically we're doing the job of educating the consumer how to use it, which they can't do in the supermarket. And I do think there's a missed opportunity there in the sector for like just more collaboration, because we're like a vehicle for them explaining to customers how to use it. And we know we've done like surveys and stuff on products that we have. We've got a marketplace for things that people can add to their boxes. So, snacks, desserts, and various bits and pieces. But when they add or see recipes on in the marketplace or within our recipes, they become more likely to consume it when they go to the supermarket. And it's like something like 70% of people have gone on to purchase a product that they've seen with Grubby for the first time somewhere else. So it's like a great way to show people how to showcase these ingredients in their best light.
Thank you. That's yeah, really interesting that people are buying the products after seeing them in your kits. It's like they wouldn't have known how to
Yeah,
use them if they'd
and
have
they
just
probably
seen them in a
wouldn't.
supermarket.
Yeah, and they probably wouldn't have picked them up either, because they're we have a lot of people who use Grubby that I think we're about 65% non-vegan as our like customer
Wow.
base, and about 35% vegans. Changes a little bit over time, but so that there'll be people that will not buy those products when they go into supermarkets. They're just like they don't know what to do with them for whatever reason. They won't buy them, but they will pick them up in a Grubby meal because they'll see a nice picture of a delicious looking curry that has got Fable in it, for example, and they'll try it with us and they'll enjoy it, and then they'll think, oh yeah, that was a good product, so I'd like to get that again. Yeah, there's definitely a barrier that we break down in sort of how to use things.
So looking at your own repeat customers now, how have Grubby successfully
Fully encouraged repeat customers. Yeah, I'd love to know kind of what tactics you
Yeah,
guys have used.
yeah. I mean, not always, done it the best, but as I'm sure every DC company will say, retention is everything, and if you can't retain customers, then you're not going to last very long. And it's all we really talk about is yes, acquiring customers is great, but we've got to keep them. And actually, more recent uh, to the past 18 months or so, we've put a lot more focus into the retention side of the business than we have acquisition. And we're still growing. We've grown about 20 odd percent year to date so far, which is great. But we're not doing that through acquiring more customers. We've actually acquired less customers than this time last year, but our customers are spending a lot more with us, and they're ordering a lot more with us. And like, why is that? Like, we've done lots of things, within the business to make it as convenient as possible and offer more choice and more convenience, more delivery days, all that kind of stuff. But fundamentally, I think that in the early stages, there's a lot of pressure on acquiring customers when you gain an investment. And in any business, and ours was no different, everything was in its infancy. We were still learning, we were still developing recipes, testing ideas, getting loads of feedback. And the product is definitely never in its best state for the first 2 years, if not more. It's improving all the time. So, now we're sort of 5 years in, or thereabouts. Like the product has come such a long way, and I think anybody in any D2C food or any product industry, like it's everything. If you start worrying too much about growth before the product's in the best possible shape it can be, then you've got a problem. And we had a period of that where we got quite a lot of investment, pumped quite a lot into growth, and yeah, paid the price on losing some customers at that time because we were growing too quickly. And you know, probably, if I'm totally honest, like some products weren't as good as they are, today. And I think that's just a broader lesson, is putting all the focus into the product as early as you can in the journey, um, and then growth will come naturally from that. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's other tactics. We do sort of loyalty type schemes. We have a smart pass for delivery where people sign up for Grubby Plus, where they don't pay for delivery, but they just pay a smaller annual fee or monthly fee. We're building more into that so that there's like milestone perks for people where they get to like 5 boxes, 10, 20, that they get little things as they go along. We just launched a recipe book, which we're really proud of, and went live with Penguin at the start of this year. So we're
Amazing.
using that as a bit of a marketing tool as well. So yes, it's great for us to be in all these bookshops and sell lots of books, but more the value for us was actually in using that book to have as like, that brand Bible almost, that we can use it for customers that are super loyal, that have hit a certain number of boxes, to give them a copy or a signed copy or whatever, and say, look, thanks very much for being part of our journey. Here's loads more recipes for you. And so, yeah, trying to get that community engagement is a massive thing for us, and building that community over time obviously just stems from having a great product that people really value in their lives.
Thank you. That's all really amazing advice and really personal insights. Let's look kind of ahead to the future now. In more recent times, the plant-based space, as you already mentioned, has focused heavily on flexitarians. Do
Mm.
you see any other, untapped consumer groups that could be won over?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we we try and pitch Grubby as probably more from a health standpoint, I'd say. That everything, like a lot of our meals have got three of your five a day in, plenty of fiber, plenty of protein. Like really try and focus on the nutritionals of the dishes, and the quality of the ingredients. That it really doesn't matter whether you're a pescatarian, a vegetarian, a vegan, a full blown carnivore. Like Grubby is something that can still be part of your lifestyle. So I think what we're doing is definitely trying not to even pigeonhole ourselves into, certain dietary needs or whatever. It's just like it doesn't matter who you are, what you are, there's like Grubby is for everybody. So I suppose, yeah, I think future generations it's changing massively, right? All the stats are saying that all of the, I don't know what gen they are, but Gen Zs or all the future generations that are coming through are much higher percentage vegetarian, vegan, and that's great news for the sector because yes, there might have been this kind of whatever you want to call it, stagnation, slowdown in growth in the sector, particularly in meat alternatives. Consolidation, I'd say, is probably another way of putting it. That there was lots of people who flooded the market at once, and there was always going to be some winners and some losers. And now like it's stabilizing a bit, and I think that the great news is that people that are sort of still around in 5, 10 years, maybe even dare I say 15 years, 20 years time. Hopefully I'm still going by then. We we're in a great place to sort of capitalize on all the future generations that are going to be looking for basically plant-based, much more plant-based products. When they get to that stage.
So our chat is almost at an end, but I
Yeah.
would love to ask what's next. So, what upcoming trends in food, sustainability, or technology do you think will make it even easier for people to form lasting plant-based habits?
Yeah. I mean, AI is obviously going to be massive. Exactly what form that takes is hard to say, but I'm pretty sure you'll be able to interact with AI in some way that will very very quickly be able to create you meal plans, and where that comes from, it will probably decide for you based on like what costs more or what type of ingredients you want to get, like how high a welfare you want the ingredients to be. Like, I think there'll be a lot of AI that will plug into lots of different businesses in different ways that will make it very, very intuitive as to how people shop for food, and drink in the future. That's for sure gonna absolutely change the game. And then on the internal sides of the business, even for us, we are using AI to help us forecast. We have so many SKUs, and so much choice. Every recipe has about 14, 15 ingredients in it. Then you times that up by 20 recipes a week, and you're trying to balance all the different aspects, ratings, costings. You can plug all that into AI to develop really, really accurate forecasting models for stock control and all that sort of thing. It was all done manually before.
Wow.
So yeah, that's definitely going to be a big factor. But yeah, I think I think sustainability is still big for people, but it's also like more of I'd say a bit of a tick box for a customer now. It's like they expect that as the bare minimum. And yes, we're a B Corp, and we really always try and do the best by people and planet and everything. But I think that is very much sort of like a good. You do that now. What else is there? And yeah, I think hopefully the next generation that start to come through, will start to really value businesses that hold true to their values, and the plant-based businesses will really thrive from that standpoint. But yeah, they're probably the main things I'd kind of pick out.
And what is next for Grubby?
Well, we've got lots of things going on. The book was very recent. We've already sold thousands of copies, which is pretty cool, and seeing it out in the wild in Waterstones and all different bookshops is on Amazon and everything is really exciting to sort of see that in print. We're working on a number of different products outside of just recipe kits. We've always sort of felt the recipe kits is like the engine for Grubby, and it always will be. But we very much see our like vision longer term, and always have, that we'd like deal with more meal times and kind of everything in between. So that be snacks or desserts or sauces for our recipes that make them even faster and more convenient. We are already have a number of things in the pipeline development wise, which can't quite say yet, but that
Exciting.
hopefully in within this year we should have one or two at least products on the market that people can buy that will basically make their meal times more convenient, more efficient, that aren't within the sort of recipe kit category. So that's probably all I can say. But we're working on some of that at the moment, which is really cool. But no, I mean, our main sort of drive really at the moment is getting the business to steady state profitability, which we're close to now, and then got things in our control at that stage to really try and scale more products within the plant-based category. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, I'll keep my eyes peeled for all the new
Yeah,
things coming out.
yeah,
And my
definitely.
final question is if food brands or retailers could do one thing better to help consumers make plant-based a lasting habit, from your experiences at Grubby, what would you suggest?
Big question. I mean, I think having more information on packaging, I mean, that's also changing all the time, which is the hard bit to keep up with. But it goes through its cycles, right? Like protein is, definitely a massive thing. We see that as when we put something's high protein on the menu, and we state the amount of grams of protein in a meaningful tag or something like that, people will go for it much more than they would if it wasn't there. So like for me, the biggest aspect is the packaging and how that's displayed, and keeping up with consumer mindsets of what you actually put at the forefront of your messaging. And that's not easy to yeah keep on top of that. But I think consumers are always going to be very maybe increasingly so health driven, and whatever's in the news at the time, and will affect that. So yeah, that would probably be the thing I'd say will drive people's habits in choosing things.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today, Martin.
No, thanks for having me on. Really enjoyed it.
And if listeners would like to find out more about Grubby, you guys can head to LinkedIn and find Grubby on there, or you can go to Grubby's delicious looking website, which I will link in the show notes. For more support on your alternative protein strategy, head to the New Food Hub and don't forget to subscribe to catch the next episode.